Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the rundown of week 2, day number 3. We've had a very eventful weekend and we are heading into an even more eventful one. I think looking at this standing, it feels like we are in a time machine because FNATIC and G2 are at the top and the other teams are limping in. Team Vitality at the rock-solid bottom. Team BDS competing with SK Gaming, Koi and Astralis at the 2-4 position. And XL making a damn surging run with a 3-0 weekend. Ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the games. We are going to talk about the state of the league and the tier lists and what we think coming into week 3 in a later episode. Now we're just going to make a rundown of the games that we did indeed see today. So be on the lookout for that. We do co-view all of the games on my channel together with the SAC if you want to be catching some of our reactions live. BDS vs Team Heretics. Draven ban, Azir ban, LeBlanc ban, Team Heretics ban Vi, Maokai, Zeri. Milio first pick, and we have a Yuumi Milio trade. In a lot of cases we see Aphelios prioritized in these moments. Aphelios just didn't get nerfed as hard as Jinx, and Aphelios synergizes well with the Yuumi and with the Milio. In this particular position, Milio is first picked, and Aphelios Nico gets picked, which of course is a very good trade. In a lot of cases you see Nico first pick here, but you know, the state of Europe in terms of how mid lane is, it's very strange and absurd. No Annie gameplay, no Nico gameplay barely, and no Ahri gameplay either. Like, these are champions that are picked in every single game in, for example, the LPL, and it just seems to be flat out ignored. The win ratios maybe speak for themselves, but I think that not being able to play these champions within your team kind of highlights maybe a greater issue. But of course, if it's not working, it's not working, and you need to come into the games with the intention to win. So we have Aphelios Nico and Sejuani Syndra Yuumi. I think this is a better 1-2-3 for Team Heretics side. I think Syndra is just Nuke's comfort pick. This music is kind of stressing me out. Let me switch. This is better. That's better. Yes. Team Heretics choose to ban Xayah Kog'Maw, which makes sense. Kog'Maw Milio is a combo. I like the Xayah ban because honestly on 13-11 with the buffs to Kraken Slayer and Navori, I think Xayah is a standard AD carry even though she doesn't have those range capabilities like Aphelios. So I think Xayah is definitely, together with Milio, a very strong combo. She can proc all of the fire and leverage the range. I think it's pretty decent. Blue side bans Wukong Nocturne. Nocturne is a combo with Nico, and Wukong is just a strong jungle, and Team Heretics choose to pick K'Sante. Renekton Jinx is the follow-up. Renekton together with Sejuani is a combo, and then Jinx here on 5. So already I think Yuumi Aphelios is the stronger bot. Viego gets picked. I don't think it's necessarily that strong of a pick here, but the question then that follows is like, what are your other options? You're picking here on 5, and you're picking very, very late in the game, when the enemy has already banned two of the junglers that might have been potentially better, so I'm perfectly fine with it. Let's take a look at the game. Let's take a look at the game, ladies and gentlemen. This game, it was the first game of the day, so I need to give myself a little refresher. Let me see what I wrote in my notes. I think at the 8-minute mark, if I remember correctly, there was quite a decisive fight where I think that BDS could have created a lot more value, but instead it extended into something bad. So first and foremost here, you see that Aphelios and Lulu are stepping into river. I'm not quite sure why Sejuani takes so much time here to react as Flacket is stepping into river. Sejuani is now collapsing, and all of a sudden looking at the situation looks pretty damn good. So here Flacket burnt his flash before this sequence for no reason at all, pushing forward when he doesn't need to. I think plain and simple here Sejuani can just choose not to throw her ult and just fight slowly and take it easy. No reason to hit the ult. If he just fights, takes his time, doesn't Seju ult and they just kill Flacket cleanly like they could. Imagine they have Seju ult now for Mercer as an example, that could have been a lot more impactful. Let's take a step back as well and pay attention to what Nuke is doing, because Nuke wants to connect with this fight, but he is not able to. I think maybe Nuke just needs to plain and simple flash this W, and it would have been better. Because here Nuke is just taking a beating, and then his flash is very late, and his flash does nothing. I think if he just flashes the Viego W, I think this could have been a game-winning situation for BDS, but instead we have the Yuumi surviving, jumping onto Jankos, and Syndra giving a fat reset here, and then Crowny also as a follow-up, it gets killed. Jankos plays this mechanically well, and all of a sudden the game is completely flipped on his head. A good question, missed out of LEC today. What happened to Adam? Aggressive was subbing in because Adam went through wisdom tooth removal surgery, and it has taken its toll on him in this weekend, and he has chosen to rest. Not an easy thing to do because they need to make Aggressivo travel in, and probably they wanted to try, but I sympathize with that situation, you know? Would have been better. But now Team Heretics all of a sudden 3-0 Nico, Viego in very good conditions. It is looking up here for Team Heretics. This is their game to lose, of course, and that fight was very, very decisive in the game. We fast forward. I want to look at the fight that just happened here. Pretty much this one. So just the fact that K'Sante showed on top for the wave. I like the fact that BDS take this fight. Aggressivo getting a lot of stride breaker value here, and Team Heretics were very greedy in what they wanted to squeeze. Obviously K'Sante showing top, and you know, crashing the top wave gives the go ahead for BDS, and it becomes a massive comeback for them in the game. Very important thing why Jinx doesn't bang as hard as Aphelios is that Jinx is a lot more item reliant. And I think that you can really feel the lack of power Jinx has in the majority of the game. I think we could talk about that a little bit more later when we're looking at the Mad Lions game. Here I liked Evi's movement here. He's playing in Fog of War, and he's creating a scenario where his team is pushing BDS towards them. I really like this from Evi. You know, I think this was kind of good maneuvering here because he read exactly where BDS want to move off of their TP, and I think this was pretty decent. Here, I don't know why he doesn't just straight up R here the Jinx, because pushing her towards the team should be enough. And the cleanse falls in, and Evi tries to flash after and doesn't happen. And here Aggressivo kind of completely throws the game because he's walking in and she was queuing in. I think that a big part of why BDS is so underperforming is just that Shio's performance is just not the same as it was in the previous split. It just isn't the same. Nash is taken. I think a big step up as well here. I think, you know, just to highlight Team Heretics, I think that this was one of the better Nico performances we've seen in Europe all split long. I think Vizio played a pretty decent game. And additionally, I think Flak had really stepped up from yesterday. I think that he recovered the balls that he lost in yesterday's game, where he wasn't actively pressuring and pushing forward. I think that he played a lot better in this game, so I'm happy to see that. I think this was... you know, Flaka did some mistakes early that got him killed, and he died in some fights, but in terms of the initiative he took together with the Yuumi, I think it was pretty good. Here, following up in this fight, right, looking at this replay, BDS, their position to fight is just so damn terrible. I'm not really sure. It's like BDS are pushing for the fight. Evie had a good position in the bush, and Lavrov tried to spot it. But BDS are playing for the steal instead of looking to play for the fight or play for a crony item, and it just doesn't lead to anything. I think often when you play Jinx, it's like you need a 3-core for her to carry. That's why I just don't like Jinx. It's like hitting 3-core. A lot of the game is decided before that even happens. And 3-core is where you begin to increase your odds, and the melee Jinx can begin to carry games, because in every game that you play, like, there's just a tank with too much armor, and I think that Jinx is too inflexible in comparison to what Aphelios does. Like, Aphelios can definitely change gears and be, be played in so many different manners in comparison to the Jinx, who's very one-dimensional and it's very reset reliant. But when there's these big tanks with armor, then the LDR is crucial for Jinx. Looking at the end of the game, let's just fast forward to the decisive fight. They secured Infernal, they can secure the Soul. Yeah, I like Team Heretic setup here. They know they can't really get engaged on, and then Flak is queuing and pushing forward. I like this type of stuff, and their wallet is just too big, the Infernal Soul is too big, and Flak just wins together with his Team Heretics. I think this was one of the better EVI games, and I think that definitely, I think the best version of Mercer is the Mercer that plays Yuumi. I remember all of the Misfits games. I've lost against Misfits, Mercer, Yuumi, together with Theo. It's kind of a classic at this point, and I think that's something the teams should consider, that Team Heretics look very comfortable in the Yuumi Melio trade setup. I think another thing to consider here is the fact that BDS didn't first pick Aphelios or Nico. I think hurt them so much in draft. If you look back at the draft, right, it's like Melio, Yuumi is traded, and you decide to first pick Melio, which might give you some options for AD carry. But all in all, Aphelios, Nico are so high value picks, and you know that you're gonna get Yuumi here on 3 no matter what, because the enemy is not gonna send Melio into a different lane, and not Yuumi neither. There's no wonder in the game. So I think that the draft was really, really good for Team Heretics, as you could assign to 2, and then 5 pick Viego. I like that a lot. I think this was definitely one of the better games. Definitely one of the better games from Team Heretics, and I think this is, this is alright. I think though, a very important thing to highlight though is still, it's like the fight that gave them a massive lead came off the back of a big BDS mistake, and they're playing against a very weak opponent. It is what it is. But if they pick Aphelios, Team Heretics can't pick Melio Lucian. I think probably first pick Nico is the way, but I think people's opinion of Nico is just so strange. And I don't think Melio Lucian is like a turbo lane. Like, it's strong, but I think Aphelios is that guy. And we continue to game number 2, Mad Lions vs XL. Big upset win here for XL. Mad Lions banned Maokai and Zaya, which has been a part of the forbidden XL recipe. K'Sante gets first picked, followed by Azir Draven, and they drop AD. They pick Rakan, Wukong, and then Poppy gets picked on 3. So Poppy here is a turbo pick. It's like Poppy is a fantastic pick here. Really, really good. They follow up with Annie, Gragas, and Nautilus Malphite. I thought that they would target more ADs here, especially Aphelios. Not sure why Aphelios, this Jinx got picked instead of Aphelios. I think this was like some kind of late game insurance type of angle. Oh yeah, we can mention Gold Stars. Gold Star probably would be to Vitheo, and yeah, I think also that Evie played quite well. I think K'Sante and Aphelios. I can't give a Gold Star to a Yuumi. I'm sorry, guys. So I would say Evie and Vitheo are my Gold Stars. I think also, honestly, Jankos also had a really good game. Mad versus XL, we have Kesante, we talked about it already. Poppy is a monster pick here. Really good Poppy pick here. I really liked it. I thought here they're gonna target Aphelios at least. They ban Anigragas to target the mid lane pool, which honestly is pretty decent here. They get Twisted Fate. BDD picks Twisted Fate into Azir. I think it's perfectly fine. I thought they're gonna just play Ahri here, just because they have Wukong, Rakan, Kesante, Ahri, and then they can just look to fight. Sure, the enemy has Poppy, but it is what it is, right? It's like either you pick a champion that is mobile, that is going to be decent into Leona and Azir and Draven, or you pick a champion that is good, and that same champion is going to be weak into Poppy. I think picking Ahri here is perfectly fine and good. I don't think Poppy's counterplay is enough to justify Ahri not being picked here. But TF gets picked. The key thing about a composition like this is the condition of Wukong is crucial and the condition of Jinx is crucial. A key thing here that Mad Lions didn't realize is that they kept taking fights when Jinx wasn't ready to fight. Sion, Leona, Poppy, no one's gonna kill them unless Jinx is in the condition to do so. And when you pick TF, you're kind of committed to this idea of playing front to back. If you're playing Ahri, you have more options. Then you're not necessarily relying on killing the Sion and Leona, but if you have Jinx and TF in your 4-5, you better have the right items on Jinx to actually carry the game. So in such a game, XL's composition is going to be very strong around first Drake, very strong around second Drake, third Drake, and then fourth Drake. You hope that you generated enough gold and enough friction in the game for you to walk into a fight with potentially 3 items with Jinx in the gold trades that you set up for the dragons. But if XL do the Drakes at the right timings and they convert and they hit the soul point at 24 minutes, sub 24 minutes, then definitely XL's composition is the superior one. Not super easy for TF to pressure Sion with Kesante. Sion can definitely sack some CS, very tanky as are, of course, and the Raven Leona should be able to manage everything that is happening bot, so TF is going to be a more defensive pick here to defend dives and to farm. In this particular game, looking at what Mad did in this game, a very big pain point was this particular moment here that we already have a replay loaded up of. So Peach, I don't know what Peach was doing here. I don't know what he was looking for. I think he was looking to gank bot and ran into an Elioya. Peach presses W preemptively and then Hylissang flash Ws. They catch him and they kill him. And then XL was very uncoordinated here. They flashed to Karzi. I think maybe there's a world where Karzi could have flashed to this position, would have been better. Because Patrick can find contact with him rather easy. And then here, the enemy team is just so deep, and Wukong and Rakan are coming back with full cooldowns and spells. And of course, Patrick is going to drop. Actually, he didn't drop his access because he refreshed it with his Q. But here comes the Rakan knocking up 2. And all of a sudden, this Wukong is 3-0. So now the game should already be hard, right? It's like, oh, Wukong managed to get 3-0. Divine Sunder timing is going to let them to be stronger already, and Wukong can carry. And then Mad Lions convert us into a Drake after the bottle gank. This Wukong is just a little bit too powerful. I thought TF was going to play the static shift build to just match the push to Valzir and then play a side game, but he decided to go for Everfrost. Here I thought that Chasey just needs to W the Poppy E as his dive is coming in, because they're committing to this trade because they have Herald. On paper I think this looks pretty good, but I think Chasey here, the fact that Peach knocks him out of turret range and then Ws, I think is very good. I think in a world where he just Ws under the turret and doesn't get pushed so far back, I think this could have be played different. But all in all, you know, the key thing here is that Draven gets 2 kills, so his base becomes a lot stronger, but Mad Lions are trading side when they are the ones with the Jinx and also the Herald hitting the turret. So it is in the end of the days, right? Just the fact that he got 2 kills is the cherry on top. We fast forward to 1830. Which is a crucial moment in the game where Elioya makes a pretty important mistake. See if the game allows me to show it. Would be nice. Not sure about the crown purchase here for Azir. I think that he has Poppy on his team, Leon on his team, Sion on his team. They should be able to buy enough space for him to output maximum damage. I would prefer that. Void Staff second is pretty good though, because the enemy has a lot of incentives to buy mercs due to the existence of Leona. Here I think just plain and simple, like Leona just rushes when he shouldn't. The enemy team took the mid prio and Azir pushed out bot, and Excel does a good job of trapping here because they're defending the space that is important and making sure that Azir can push. Good macro play from Excel, but Leoya definitely shouldn't be the one getting caught here, because what's important is the fact that they contest the next mid wave, and the next mid wave will be their timer to play. Drake is spawning, so it's perfectly okay. Sure, you can say that the Leoya lived and Mad Lions had no reason to push her forward, but this was a pretty crucial mistake. And now we're coming into that Drake that we talked about, and considering Mad Lions' advantage is not as significant as it was at one point with the 3-0 Wukong, here you have to consider yourself. It's like, is Jinx ready to actually carry the game and carry the fights? Because if you look at Jinx items, she's not going to break through the Sion, she's not going to break through the Poppy and the Leona. Right now, the damage output that exists here is just not enough. But imagine a scenario where Ahri was in the game, then maybe she can support the Wukong in the conquest of maybe killing the backline. They could undermine the position, maybe one-shot Azir, and then maybe Jinx could get a reset and find a lot of usability in the fights. But instead they're walking into this fight and they're hoping that Wukong is going to carry, and it's very easy to just deny the Wukong, because in the end it's like they only have one real champion to take care of. So here, I think Niski could have already been pushing top, they could have pressured into the jungle, and they could have made more educated, angles where they try to kill Azir maybe on site and push and make sure the team is ahead. But instead, in a lot of cases, Mad Lions were just kind of looking at the enemy team, and they find themselves in fights they really don't want to take part of. Item spikes are so important, and Jinx is a very good example of that. This game goes on for a very long time, so I just want to highlight moments that I thought were very key in the game. 34 minutes. There was indeed a situation, well, I guess I can show that because it's kind of funny. It's like XL kill Rakan, and they kill Rakan and they decide to do Nash, natural progression, and Peach is a gamer. He smites a little bit too early, miscounts his damage, and a little basic attack finishes the Nasher. Because obviously this game is the Rakan death. And there it is. A rocket of Jinx finishes it. The smite was at 1281, and the Jinx rocket just killed it. Crazy. And somehow Mad Lions stay in the game. I heckin' love Arcane. 34 minutes in. Jinx has gotten to the position where she can actually have enough damage to kill people, which is a very important aspect of playing together with TF. Still, this is a Sion with 5000 HP, so it's not super easy. They're entering into the space and use TF ult from before, so they can't really reveal. But you can see here, Sion of course has definitely fallen off. You see, Sion is not tanky, right? I did mention that he has 5k HP, but the LDR and how AD carries curve out now, it's like the power curve of AD carries is really like, it's really like 3 items, 4 items, you feel AD carries becoming really strong, because Kraken damage begins to scale with levels, BT begins to scale with levels, LDR gets massive value. That's why, like with these comps with tanks, when the Void Staffs and the LDRs begin to land on 3rd item and so forth, this is where they begin to fall off, right? Because the value of these items becomes immense. See this this guy's paper, and then of course the Jinx has enough damage to pop off. And Jinx has found a way to scale all the way. Now, Azir is not quite the same champion as before. He doesn't have insane amounts of pressure on a Jinx that has so much range. We continue. Excel is just budget 2022 FNATIC. Are you saying that because we played Azir? I think that's such a lazy comparison. Here Niski has a smite from his spellbook. And they steal the soul. Somehow, the soul would have been very deadly. Somehow, Mad Lions stay in the game. But Excel, of course, they are going for the final push. And Ordo Amne has watched some bow streams because he's backing up to get himself a little bow special to look for the end. In reality, of course, this Sion ult is really, really good to keep. And I think that Kazi could have actually carried this. But instead Kazi goes melee to Ordo Amne. And he flashes the Sion Q and he gets abandoned here. And Niski chooses not to card him. And then Kazi flashes the Q and Abadage finds this opportunity to strike. Abadage gets the game-winning play with a fat ult and kills the Jinx. And all of a sudden, this game is over. Big save here from Abadage. And XL complete their 3-0 weekend. What a rush that must be after a year of suffering for XL. I applaud them, and definitely, you know, in a world where XL has gone through so many tough, you know, the players specifically, they went through a very tough year. Going 3-0 on a weekend, you know, must feel amazing. And even though the XL players aren't doing a lot of winning, I'm sure they've worked very hard to get to this point, so props to them. And I expected XL to be last, and I expected XL to continue losing coming into this week after 0-3. Doesn't matter that the game was dirty as fuck. I think for XL it just matters that they have the points on the board. This game was thrown maybe 7-8 times, and I hope I highlighted those, but a win's a win. A win's a win. Who gets the golden star? Who gets the golden star? I think, honestly, just Abadage with the game-winning play that I think is pretty damn good. I missed the mad throw at base. We can show that. You know, I have to be selective sometimes with my choices, but we can show that too, just to keep everyone in the loop who's watching this for the first time. So we had the Nash fight, right, where Karzi popped off that I showed earlier, and now we have this sequence where they're looking to end. And for some reason here they decide not to tank the turret. I don't know why Karzi is just not rocket hitting. Here, Peach gets to pull the whole wave and Ordo Amne is just standing in front. I think that they needed to prevent someone from pulling this wave because they could have actually ended here if that was the case. It's like they need to be hitting this Poppy right now and then crash the wave, and then together with the Jinx. Could have been good. Ordo Amne ults 3 and then Jinx is full melee mode. I don't know how Karzi ended up here. It's like a child driving a Ferrari. It's just melee range with machine gun because he wants attack speed. Sion finds the ultimate, and then somehow, of course, Jinx dies. And they find the kill. I think in a world where they played this better, they could have ended here. Alright, game number 3, ladies and gentlemen. G2 versus Astralis. So, now this is the second day in a row where we get to see G2 picking Braum, which into seemingly what is seemingly a bad matchup. And I was shocked when they did it. I was like, there's something they need to know that I don't know. That there has to be something here that I don't know. And I think I have figured out, well, not saying that I figured it out, but I have come to some kind of conclusion that would justify it. So basically what Mickey does is he maxes E. He maxes E. So he maxes E to get this damage reduction and the barrier duration up to max. And this makes him unbelievably tanky. Every point in E reduces the cooldown of Unbreakable by 2 seconds. And without ability haste, the Unbreakable cooldown is it's insanely low. And now, after understanding what Mickey does, the madman, he's willing to play Braum even into range supports, and he's just maxing E. And now when you read this ability, considering the cooldown goes down by 2 seconds, and this is just mental, right? This is the idea of it. And there's many moments in this game where I'm like, this Braum is not taking damage. Because a lot of Braums, they take damage. They do E up, and it feels like you're doing something, accomplishing something, because you're hitting the Braum, and he's taking damage. But this Braum was not taking damage because of the 55% damage reduction, and he is smurfing in the game. You know, obviously the 2 times they played Braum was once into Lulu and once into Yuumi, and 2 times they played against maybe bot lanes that won't punish as much, because Hansama and Mickey are still a fantastic bot lane. I know we're all very excited about FNATIC's bot lane, but Hansama and Mickey are up there. And if someone told me Hansama and Mickey are better than Trimby and Noah, I would say, yeah, that's fair play. We have seen a limited sample size of FNATIC, while we've seen a very large sample size of G2. Like, even if we look at the FNATIC versus G2 game, they did have their number, right? But then again, they played Milio against Lucian Nami, and we don't see much Lucian Nami anymore, right? So Lucian Nami has definitely fallen out of favor, because in my mind, I think Lucian is just not a good Kraken user. And I think the items tell you which AD carries. So, looking at the rest of the draft, I thought they were going to go for Poppy Tristana, but blind picking Tristana is not super easy. So they go for Azir, strong, more solid blind pick in the draft. I was like, yo, Poppy Tristana, Yordle comp. I've been playing way too much TFT, I think. So they pick Azir because it's a better blind. And then they pick Gnar to have 80 damage into K'Sante. I thought maybe even picking Poppy here into K'Sante top could be something, but they pick Gnar and then Nico. I think picking Gnar for the matchup can be perfectly fine. I think, all things considered, you just, with time, you're going to scale super well with the Braum. I think Noah has been very fantastic, but we need to give... we have to appreciate the fact that Hansama has had a very large sample size of great success in a major league. And I think that if we only isolate the games, I think that Noah has been really, really insane. But I think it's important to give a team time before you make definitive statements that Noah is better than Hansama. I think sometimes situations don't let you play, right? Like some situations, for example, if we take Vitality as an example, it's like Vitality sucks ass. But would I be so quick to say that Upset is a terrible fucking player because Vitality sucks ass? He's been put in situations where he can't do a lot. I feel like there's almost no AD carry that will do much in this position. Worldwide. And that doesn't make Upset a really strong player, but at the same time it doesn't make him bad. You get me? That's why, like, having a larger sample size is very important. And Noah has been fantastic in the sample size that he has had so far. And I think if someone wants to say, yo, Noah has played better. Noah has played better than Hansama in the 6 games that have played so far. I would be like, okay, I think there's argument for that. But if someone told me Noah is 100% better than Hansama, I think, okay, let's slow down a bit. Let's see a little bit more. Let's see a little bit more before we make definitive statements. Because Hansama has had some solid ass games. Hansama on Aphelios against FNATIC was a really, really big fucking game. His Kog'Maw games were massive Hansama bombs. And Hansama seems to be finding really good form in comparison to MSI and his last split, because I didn't think he played that well at MSI. So let's give it time. We can all agree on one thing though, it's Hansama and of course Noah are the 2 best AD carries in Europe. The draft FNATIC against G2 was shit. My bronze ADK could do this happen. Yeah, you are definitely not listening to what we're talking about. FNATIC didn't have the best draft, but there were things in the game that G2 did better. Right? It's like we look at the, if we just look at the first 15 minutes of the game, you can still see the nuance of gameplay. It's not about how the conclusion and the result is, because I don't care about G2 winning or not the result. It's more about like executing key concepts in the game, right? And G2 executed bot lane better, and they executed the Drake fight better, which made them win the game. And in that game even, FNATIC had some good moves in the early game, but it just didn't matter, right? Because Nico had very good condition, and bot lane had good condition, right? But then they died, and then it switched over, and then all of a sudden that Drake fight switched everything up, right? Okay. We look at the game. Ladies and gentlemen. On the flip side, right? I called this in draft. I said this is season 5 versus season 13. Who's gonna win? Like, if I remove nameplates, everything, it's like, oh, I really like red side draft. It's like I see so many champs here that are completely fucking broken. I think that through lane phase, through pressure, through fights early, these guys are just gonna completely dominate. But it just, you know. It was just the Prom E gap. So we already talked about the Brom E, how crazy it is. And this is the tech. Unbreakable. Max E. We had a lot of action for 113. Yak did his Wolves, and Yak here at 113 tried to pressure. And then eventually BB just gives up his lane to make sure that his Maokai gets to clear. And then 113 gets pushed back into his jungle. Early game shenanigans, we have Raptors into bot side. Here Yike did a reverse clear to defend his own camps, which is super nice. We've seen so many teams and players do Raptors into invade their blue, take Gromp and blue, and then the enemy just plays, you know, in a rough one for the majority of it. We continue. I think Broken Blades took a lot of attention to himself. I kind of just want to make this into a Brom highlight reel because I just want to show you guys how strong this Brom is. This was a pretty wonky gank from G2. Like all of the damage was sent into Finn's W. And then of course Maokai doesn't have enough damage to find the lethal, and Finn with the W. Very good play. You know, Finn is a player that I've watched super much in Champions Queue, and I feel like this guy has so much potential, you know? Like, so much potential. I think, you know, Finn, even though Astralis haven't looked too hot, I think Finn, like his Gragas game, his Rumble game, his Cassandra game, I think Finn has been playing really fucking good. I just want to highlight that. I think Finn is like mechanically very, very, very good. I watched him in Champions Queue during whole MSI, and he was smurfing on everybody. Everybody, I tell you. When I say everybody, there wasn't a lot of exciting players, but it's like it was your Adam, it was your ERL top laners and so forth, but I saw class there, I saw class. Here I don't understand why Astralis don't choose to pull Herald all the way into the bush. I think that they need to wait for G2 to cross into here, and if they pulled it into the bush, it would be so much easier to turn on this Azir. Right? So, this Azir is allowed to walk up way too far, and Nar is gaining too much information. So now, this position becomes widely different. The flash out of the root, and imagine a world where they pull the Herald out and they engaged on the Azir and hid the information a little bit better. Would have been a lot better. They don't get to pick up the Herald. And now I hope we get to see this Braum E montage. Because this is a maxed out Braum E. And this guy is tanky, I tell you. Tanky. Very tanky. Have the Ginzu rush. Another thing that I can highlight is this Kog'Maw is starting with Dagger, and apparently it's something that Viper and Jackie Love do too. And the idea is, I think, is that from Dagger you can pivot into so many different items. It's a very, very convenient item to buy because no matter what gold you base on, you can buy Berserker Greaves, you can pivot into Rage Knife, you can buy Recurvo, you can buy another Dagger. You know, you have so many options in terms of your itemization. So that's pretty damn good. You know, and you get the 4 potions too. If you buy boots, you don't have a lot of directions to pivot into, right? And I think that's, of course, the whole difference. And then, of course, attack speed is a decent combat set, especially for something like Kog'Maw activates his W and then there's lethal tempo. You guys get the gist of it. Fast forwarding a little bit just to find the Mickey montages. Here, even though I praised Finn, I think this is a moment where he does indeed grief. I think that G2 were very sharp here in terms of contesting the space. Very, very good. I think these are the moments where we're going to be finally seeing it. It's crazy that Broken Blade survives. Somehow he survives. He's just drifting and sliding and then flashes. Crazy that Broken Blade survives. I understand the trade up here, right? And why Astralis committed, because they thought they could kill him. Obviously, if you don't, you look like a dumbass and you waste a lot of tempo in your topside camps. But if they kill Nar, right? It's not too bad because leader is defending mid. But they lose their topside camps, and I think that's the part that makes this sting so much. I think this is the moment where you see some Mickey Braum action. I think this is where it looked so damn ridiculous, because Mickey's level 9, right? Let me just show you how much this Braum does. I think this is the moment. I'm trying to find the moment, guys, sorry. Shit, when's the moment? I think the moment might have already happened. Someone burned flash. Oh shit. Maybe it's now? Might be now. When's the moment? Let me find this moment, for the love of God. Here, this is the moment. There we go. Here it is. So look how tanky this Braum is. Look how quick his E comes back up. I think if Hansama just doesn't flash and he keeps playing, I think they just murdered him. I don't think he needs to flash. Look how beefy this Braum was. My man was not taking damage. He's just not taking damage. Of course, he exhausted. But I think Hansama could have kept his flash here. And fought more. And this is the idea of Braum Emax. No points Q. Hans had to flash the Viego R? No, he didn't. He didn't need to flash it. I think you guys are really overestimating how much Viego R damage it would do there. But he's just maxing E straight up. It's not a big deal though, it doesn't matter if Kog'Maw flash or not. So basically he just maxes E, and then he just becomes turbo tanky. And that's that. Emax Braum. Broken. No points Q. Keep in mind Viego already W'd. And Viego dies very faster. Is there a specific synergy with Kog over something else? I think Kog'Maw is like decent, and I think Kog'Maw Braum was always a lane that was played. But I don't see why you wouldn't be able to do this with Aphelios either as well, right? If that's what you're looking for. But it's definitely a lane that has synergy, and the E of Braum definitely provides Kog'Maw a lot of safety, which he lacks in his kit, right? The rest of the game is pretty straightforward. G2 very solid. They found the Braum peak after a dirty game yesterday. They just find the win after a Nashor and the fight on mid, and they win the game. Astralis games always end quick. When they win, when they lose. Dom really loves to bet under against Astralis, and he's always making money. Can you max E in more kill pressure lanes? Not too sure. But I don't see why not. I don't think putting more points in Q is going to change that lane for you. So, I like it. I like it. Would you ban the Kog or Braum in 1, 2, 3? No. No. I don't think they should be banned. I think this is partially experimental from G2. But I can get the idea of Braum Emax. I have 2 more games, Angel. 2 more games. Koi versus SK. Big Resident Sleeper. This one. Big Resident Sleeper. I thought that blue side draft was quite strong here. I thought red side draft would be quite difficult to play because of there's a real Rodrigo in the chat. Rodrigo, if you're the real Rodrigo, I've never noticed that you're real Rodrigo because you've been here before. I'm always here watching because I've seen your name a couple of times. I think what's cool about G2, I think, is that there seems to be like a really big buy-in in terms of where they need to improve. And I think that there's a clear idea in what they are doing in the day-to-day. And that's completely fabricated based off of what I've seen. But I get this impression from how they speak and me knowing that some of the players and staff. Nevertheless, Koi versus SK. Aphelios, Milio, Yuumi, Sejuani, Jinx, Cassandra. Here we see the Aphelios first pick over the Milio first pick as an example, and we didn't see Milio Lucian. Right? Sejuani gets picked, which is a cool part of having Milio, right? Is that you can actually pick Sejuani without feeling like a piece of shit. Yuumi, Cassandra gets locked in. Drop mid, perfectly fine. Jinx. And then we have Jav and Poppy ban. Also makes sense. Maybe Poppy less so, but if you are looking to pick Jax, then of course banning Poppy makes sense. And that's what they do. They pick Jax into Kisanta together with Sejuani. Renekton is out, so it makes also sense. Tristana, blind. Kind of crazy. I think they way overhyped. It shows every time they play international that they're not special at all. Every time they play international. Every time. Have there been any other tournaments than MSI? Damn. Every time. Yeah, I don't think it's the real Rodrigo either. I think it's very important that when I talk about the LEC, I'm only talking about the LEC. I'm not sitting here and comparing everything to JDG, Billy, KT, and whatever else. Your team is. It is me. So is it real Rodrigo or no, man? I know that Rodrigo is Portuguese. I know that Rodrigo, he has that CSGO Week Brazil 2022 badge. So it might be Rodrigo. Through the DM? Is it through the DM? Okay, it is Rodrigo. Okay. He has the same name. Rodrigo is the one that got away. When Schalke is old, I wanted Rodrigo, man. I wanted Rodrigo as my analyst. He's the one that got away. He's the only one that has ever said no to me. Dylan Falco stole him. He took him away from me. I wanted Rodrigo. Me, Rodrigo, and Shaves? What a trio that would be, man. Alright, so Tristana blind. So as mentioned before, right? I was like, oh, pick Poppy Yordle. Like Tristana and Poppy here. But Tristana blind is not the greatest. So Akali gets picked. Certus special. Certus is the luckiest man on the planet. He just seems to win no matter what when he picks Akali. Either he carries and plays well, or he doesn't and he still wins. Akali is his lucky charm. Either way. Gragas gets picked. Obviously, Gragas is very valuable here into Jack's showing, and I think, Jinx and Milio, also champions that need to think about Gragas actively. I think Gragas pick was really good here. Really, really good Gragas pick here. And then Akali on 5. Jizuki said it himself on the call. This is not what we want. Jizuki said so himself on the call that Akali can easily find lethal ranges against Tristana, even if she buys Hex Drinker. She's a very wonky champion, and she doesn't have the easiest way of harassing Akali in lane. She can push and get prio, maybe hit for some playthings, but considering how slow W is, you can definitely find REs into all-ins and look to play. I nearly cried with happiness that Heretics banned the Gragi. Let's give credit where credit is due, because FNATIC started the trend. Or did Team Heretic start the trend? Am I lying? Am I lying? Am I lying right now? Mad. G2. I think you're talking about Excel, right? Would you be giga surprised if Team Heretics went to Worlds? I think currently there's no clear fourth best team. And I don't see why Team Heretics can't take that slot. Yeah, G2 definitely did sense MSI. I think they lost 1 BO5. Too many against Gragas. But nevertheless, let's take a look at this game, right? We talked about the draft. They didn't plan Mad Lions yet, Kuevne, so there's that. Yeah, I still, it's like, in the context of Team Heretics, I have concerns about the top lane and their support. But looking at all the other teams, let's just pull up the standings, okay? We just pull up the standings real quick. Looking at all of the other teams, it's like, I have concerns about these guys. Their jungler is not it, right? And they are playing Azir every game. This is a win streak that I don't believe will last. But God bless, you know? Good for them. Astralis. Damn. Astralis. Koi, no teeth at all. SK Gaming. They have to pray that the enemy plays worse than them for them to win games. Team BDS, Wisdom Tooth problems, and Shio underperforming, bleeding into everything else, showcasing that Nuke wasn't that guy last split. And the bot lane playing full with desperation, trying to find ghosts and demons to carry them through the game. And don't get me started on Team Vitality. And while I don't think Team FNATIC is that amazing, I think that they've made upgrades and they are doing better and better, and everyone below them have bigger question marks than Team FNATIC. So I think that's that's the state of Europe right now. All right, so Shigenda getting completely smacked in the forehead in lane phase against Irrelevant Jax. I've heard stories about Irrelevant Jax. I don't know why the fuck he started live like this. Well, actually I do know. I just wanted to cancel the recall and then he queued out. Makes sense. They find this dive and then later they find a gank too. They're in good conditions in the game. But at the same time, at the flip-flop, you know, Koi Malang is farming for the first time. He has boots and runes. He's playing First Strike Ragoon. I kind of like the First Strike Ragoon into full melee champs, you know. I think you make a lot of money. I like, we had this conversation about Dark Harvest being like this amazing rune all of a sudden because you're playing Gragas, and I just don't believe it. Like, I think Gragas has a bit of a rune identity crisis in jungle, and I think Dark Harvest is really whatever. And in this game we play against a lot of melees. I think First Strike is perfectly fine. Let's not do the First Strike Dark Harvest debate again. I think if you're playing Dark Harvest on a jungler, it just means that you are homeless when it comes to runes. Nevertheless, we jump forward a little bit because this was a bit phase rush. No, you don't need to. Just go Electro. Sometimes you don't proc it. I like First Strike. You're a melee champ. Yeah, the cooldown is so low and you have Night Harvester. It's like, just fucking throw your ult at the enemy and make 200 gold, you know? It's like, I kinda like it. I kinda like it. Let's jump forward a little bit. I'm trying to remember the key moments of this game. I think it came down to some of the late game team fights, because I felt like this is one of those games where I think if blue side somehow reaches 3 core, I think the red side shouldn't be able to win. But that obviously wasn't true in this one. Big collapse here from Koi. Good TP into the undermining here of Irrelevant. Good timing on it. I liked it. Irrelevant just ulted the floor, which I just saw now. He just ults the floor. First Strike seems more of a solo queue room page, no? Why? Dark Harvest is more of a solo queue rune page, no? I think the only issue is that if you play this rune and people just straight up proc it because they have poke, then it kind of sucks ass. But I think if you're playing against comps like this, you can farm some First Strike. I don't think it's too bad. I think Dark Harvest is a piece of shit, man. It's like if you're getting Dark Harvest value in a team fight or in a game, probably you're playing a game where whatever rune you would have had will win. So you see here in this moment, right, it's like after there's this situation where the engage flops, trying to get through this choke point is just a big no-no. So all SK need to do now is hold the position, because right now Koi need to be the one crossing the choke point. But instead, SK are the one jumping through it. And how on earth is their backline going to fight here? Right? So, very, very good basic fundamental training here is whoever crosses this choke point is going to be losing. And right now SK have the superior position. And they need to understand they have the superior position. The enemy needs to cross here. They can just start the Drake, pull it out, and have a good time. The enemy crossing through here, find the engage. Akali can lurk in this position, in this bush, and then you maybe jacks in this position, and then you look to turn. But right now, you are the one putting yourself through the funnel, because choke points work two ways. And this wasn't necessary. Xatos looked for the little on Gragas, traded his life for it, and now Koi can extend this to a little Drake. Malrang is dead, so they don't want to look for the Nasher. So now the game is extended, we have 2 Drakes to 2 Drakes. Tristana is in very good conditions, BT is going to be finished. The blue side composition is looking mighty juicy, in my opinion. Especially with that Tristana range increasing every level. Echo jungle was good with it, if memory serves correct. It's like always in cases with Dark Harvest is a good rune for jungle, it just means that all runes are pretty bad. So just kind of taking a copium rune. Yeah, I think Advien can hold his Yumiult a little bit more. Yumiult is just a defensive tool. The slow is not so relevant. I think in this position, probably, right, if you look at the position, Jax being dead, I think probably just converting this to a free Nash is way better. Malrang just queues the floor, and in a world where maybe Yumi ults better, or they just turn around to Nash, it would have been just a better and smoother conversion here for Koi. Jump forward a little bit more, and we're going to have, I believe, a fight. Let me find this particular moment in the game. So, usually in positions like this, if Jax is down there and hitting you, you need to kind of pressure. Like as a 4, I think you need to actively look to pressure, push forwards, push these 2 out, take space and river. But Koi instead, they take this mid wave and then they decide, let's have a group masturbation session. Interesting. So Jax is pushing bot for free, and SK are being allowed to mask the Jax by hitting Nash, and Koi are not actively pursuing anything here. A big thing to point out is that Comp had the wrong gun rotation the whole game. I'm not a gun nut, but this Aphelios never had red-white into green, which was tough to watch. He had red, white, and then purple showed up. So usually it's like red, white, you get rid of red, and then you have, you get your green, you get rid of white, and then you rotate them. But my boy Comp was stuck in this bad weapon rotation for so long. Because usually red, white, green is what is considered Exodia. Jack Spector's words, not mine. We continue. I think here in this moment, Comp pushes forward when he can't. He's looking for demons. I think this Drake position, at least SK did a better job of holding the choke, and then they've punished Comp really well here. I think that Larsen could fight a lot more here. I don't know why he is Wing out. I think that he could have done a lot more here. Irrelevant didn't even use spells on him. I think that he could bait a little bit more. Maybe Jax cues towards him. He could save Kesante for a little bit longer, and then he could W and fight. I think that he can stay in the pocket. If Aphelios got to pick his first 2 weapons in Champion Select, that would have been completely broken. I think that Larsen could have done a lot more in that fight. Let's look here, right? It's like Comp is sitting on red-white now. And now he's... Wait. Now he's sitting on purple-white. Instead of green-white, rotate out white, have green-purple, and then purple, blue. And even though he has the correct guns here, the issue is the order. Right? But SK finally take a win. I think the U-Mules looked very strange. I think this Tristana wasn't playing the game to carry. And SK finally got their shit together and played around the right space. In comp, tried to overplay his hand to carry, while the other players on his team underplayed their hand to carry. And this Kisante was very weak in the game due to the conditions he found themselves in against the Jacks. And in the end, SK managed to win. And now we have FNATIC versus Vitality. Amumu! Yes. Finally. Aftershock Gragas is kind of useless. Like, Aftershock doesn't give you shit unless you're buying defensive stats. Gives you very little. Finally, Amumu. Let me tell you this, guys. Me and Shays tried to convince Razork to play Amumu at Amumu's peak. Like, when Amumu was the best champion in the game. And he wasn't buying it. FNATIC are working magic now because now they finally convinced him to do it. I thought Amumu would show up more as a counter to Wukong. But here we have it. Against Maokai. He has some buttons. Amumu. Very strong. 2Q change made everyone do it. What do you mean everyone do it? No one does it. We've had Speaker play it and now Razork play it. But I couldn't convince Razork to play this. Even at the peak of Amumu. Amumu had way stronger moments in time in the meta where he could be played. Amumu is like the... I don't know, Riot's relationship with Amumu is they want to buff him and they want to nerf him. This is Amumu after the nerf. This was... Let me just find the patch where he got buffed on. This is when he got buffed. He just got a fat W buff, like they buffed the flat damage of W by a super massive amount. And then there's patches in the past. I'm trying to remember exactly those patches because there were some patches where this champion was completely bombastic, and I was trying to push my boy Razork Ivanchuk to play this, but Lolalytics is not going so far back, so far back for me to find it. Razork the type of homie to try a champion and then run it down and say that the champ is not good. But Ivanchuk is doing super well and I'm super proud of him. I'm very happy for him. He has that occasional int in the game, but I think the majority of his plays are very high class and high level. I think that he has found a lot of nice ganks. If you open up my YouTube shorts, I'm explaining some of them. If you look at my shorts here. Example this. Look at this. He fakes the base, then walks all the way around. And has no base at 430 and then sees the Mad Lions bot lane is slow pushing out and finds the neck breaker. Did you have good relationship with Razork? Yeah. A really good relationship with Razork. Boom. Very clever gank. There's another one. But look at this. Oh yeah, look at this gank. Beautiful. Look at this gank, guys. So basically, he knows all the vision. He jumps over the wall, dodges the crab vision, and then boom. Finds the gank on Abadage. He never saw it coming. Very nice. But nevertheless, Amumu is picked, Zairakan, Maokai, very fine 1, 2, 3. Usually want to find like a strong AD champ here on 5. Not a great game to play Tristana in, so just went for Varus. I think Varus... It's like playing Varus here sucks ass because you want cleanse, but you also want TP. So, you better be good at securing a Varus base. You know? I think that playing Varus here is super hard. It's like Ahri presses R forward and Varus is in danger. So we shall see. Well, we did see, and it was atrocious. I made a joke on the co-stream that Bo should be put in the MVP voting, but I feel just bad for Vitality, because at this point it is a full-on disaster. They're having identity crisis, play crisis, every crisis that you can think of to man. It started off with Maokai just being in this bush for some damn reason to look for a late ward, and then they just look for him, a charm into Q, and then they just one-shot him, and Phaedos gets first kill. It's funny because they showed this graph here about Noah's KDA, and this graph is just wrong because he just got a kill. I don't think they expect that. Really rough. The continuation of this game is just somber. So basically, I mentioned before, Perks is playing without TP, so he needs to find a way to base. Right now there was heavy trading in mid, and now Ahri has fresh conditions in mid, and that's why we play TP mid, because usually this is something that, this is just a situation that is very recreatable. And now in this moment, Ahri is contesting the wave on mid and trading hard against Perks. And he wants to, right now, the whole game is about making sure that Varus doesn't base. And on the flip side, the whole game on red side is about making sure the Varus bases. But the big advantage here Humanoid has is the fact that he has bot and has better conditions. But in a world where Perks gets to crash this wave, then he of course will base and he will have a summon advantage because the cooldown of TP is very long. So at this moment, you see that Rakan is now going into mid because he knows this is important. Maokai is going to be going into mid because he also knows that this is important. And the key thing here is that Kaiser didn't base, so his tempo is better than Lulu. He walks straight from bot lane into here, so his tempo is better than Lulu. And now Maokai is coming into here, he's kind of matched with Rakan, and they're looking for this hard trade. Perks holds his cleanse, and they spotted a Mumu, and Kaiser misses. In this moment, I think if Vitality chose not to all-in Humanoid and not flash after, this would have been a fine outcome. They could have pushed and crashed, and all of it would have been good. Here in this moment, instead they flash forward, and now Trimby goes in, and Razork is having a grade A time. He murders the enemy, and the game is completely joever. Imagine a world now where they didn't pursue this Ahri and they got the base in, then maybe we would have had a little bit of a game. But I doubt it. This is just done. Very, very done. There's a moment in time here where Amumu goes sicko mode. Honestly, if I was coaching Razork at this point in time, I would say, you know what, I get why you went for it. I would go for this every time. Aesthetically, it's not good because it's 3v4, but it is so juicy. It looks gorgeous. They cleanse out, they don't have the damage to go all the way through. Noah has no flash. It is what it is. They get a huge shutdown. Luckily, well, unfortunately for Vitality, the gold goes into the pocket of Rakan. There's just nothing that can go right for Vitality. Nothing. And now we're just going to be watching this montage of Bo making these desperate ult attempts into bottom side that lead into a massacre. Abyssal Mask is finished for Amumu. I had the conversation about this on stream. Abyssal Mask is a great item from Amumu, but I think the magic resistance, you don't get a lot of value here. I think maybe you can even consider going Even Shroud first to boost the damage. Because you don't get full value from Abyssal anyway, right? So Abyssal Mask is a great Amumu item, but I think maybe you can delay it and buy it a little bit later. I think you can go like Even Shroud, Knight's Vow, and then maybe Abyssal and buy those items in those order, you know? But it's a very cheap item, and all of the tank items that I mentioned are very cheap, so they're very good items to buy on all of those tank champions. I think the Demonic Embrace is good, but you don't buy defensive stats. This is the moment we're talking about, where Vitality, you know, they're just not fighting. I think here, maybe, if you want to commit to this, Upset needs to be posturing way more forward and need to fight. Like here, maybe Upset could go deeper and they could fight together, right? And really leverage his flash and cleanse and just go all in into this fight. I can see that working and being a lot better, but I think Upset doesn't commit here and I don't think it's good. It's like here, maybe they could fight together. Maybe it would have been better. At least, you know, it's an attempt. Because here, you know, Xayah has Kraken. You know, Xayah is fucking strong here, actually. Now, actually, I think that, yeah, Upset should have fucking fought here. He wastes his W, and I think they could have actually fought here. Looking back at it now, I think Upset makes a mistake here by not fighting. I think they should all in here. There's no sums on Noah. I think definitely Upset should have fought here. This could have been a crucial moment. I think Upset could have fought here hard. I look at this again, and I think actually Vitality win here. This is a Kraken Xayah with full summoners. I think they actually smurf and win here. They have full sums here. Kraken has sums, Ari is in base. Well, to be fair, we're not talking about all the information. There's TP on Poppy, and there's TP on Ari. So let's be honest, I didn't think about this. Maybe this is what Upset's thinking about. He's like, yo, we're gonna get TP on, and we're gonna get aced. So that's perfectly fair. That's perfectly fair. I can see a world where Xayah 1v9s here, you know? Perks is moving, you know, he's pretty far away, like he's far from this. Maokai still has W, and I think they could do more here. But then the TPs come in and it's just GG. It's like RA TPs and then it's just done, you know? They're just fucked. Maybe Upset is thinking about the TPs and he doesn't want to fucking fight. Maybe that's the case. In isolated 3v3, I think it's a good play, you know. But if Upset is thinking about the TPs, you know, then it's just a fucking coordination error, you know. Because Upset for sure could do a lot here. Like in 3v3, I think that FNATIC has not good chances here. And the TPs are coming. Because maybe in a world, like, they fight to the death here, maybe they kill 2, kill 1, they burn all summoners, you know, maybe the TPs come in too late, you know. There's an argument. But now there's just nothing. There's just nothing. Absolutely nothing. And obviously this game is over 15 times. Now at this point it's just, you know, look how ice cold FNATIC is. Look how ice cold. I mean, the guy fighting 2v1 with Polymorph, he loses. What do you mean? He has Flash, Cleanse, Ult. At least commit to one thing, you know? Just do one thing. Like, just either don't fight or fucking fight all the way. That's the whole issue, right? That's the issue of Vitality encapsulated. It's like either don't fight because you're afraid of TP, or fucking fight all the way and go all in. Because in between is the worst thing possible. A good or bad decision becomes even worse when everyone disagrees. YamatoCannon has 300 armor. They are massaging him, not doing any damage to him, so they just give up, which they should. Big fights here, like how Noah posture here, very good movement from Noah. He's vibing, chilling, cleanses. I really like how Noah leverages his summoner spells and Gale Force, you know? Like in every situation he's in, he's actually making the enemy use spells on him. He's actually actively engaging fights with his champion. And that's something that is super, super good. Noah's leveraging his cooldowns to get more out of his champion. While a lot of AD carries that I see play, they are waiting to use their cooldowns until they really have to. They cherish their cooldowns just a little bit too much. The best AD carries in the world, they engage fights. They have long range, they pressure, and they force the enemy to go onto them. They leverage movement, they leverage everything that they have. And I love to see it. Noah does that super well. He does that and still has only died once. Yeah, that's the thing that is so impressive about the guy. I like YamatoCannon's Poppy ults. I like the fact that YamatoCannon is willing to play Poppy. Because Poppy, honestly, is one of those champions that is like, can make drafts into Exodia. Like, really. Poppy in the right spots, like in this game, when Renekton and fucking Rakan is showing. Might be a hard matchup into Renekton, you know? But the value you could provide as a champion later on in the game is really nice. Really fucking nice. So really, really cool that YamatoCannon is willing to play it. I like that a lot. I'm on that FNATIC hype train, but I'm on that FNATIC G2 hype train. These guys, honestly, these two teams are super exciting. It's FNATIC G2 all over again. Just as it used to be, man. Order has been restored, ladies and gentlemen. FNATIC take a little awkward fight on the red buff area here. I think it's coming up now. Let's just check it out. Because they kind of isolate Noah from the situation. He wants to hit the next mid wave. And then the 3 Yordles are vibing. The 3 Yordles are contesting the right space and they're not on the mid wave. I really like that they're staying in Fog of War. Very important when you're ahead. Don't fucking punch the wave together with Aphelios. Make yourself bigger by being in Fog of War. These are words you've heard many times if you're on this channel. Now this fight is coming. Here Noah gets isolated, he wants to go back for the mid wave, and FNATIC are overdoing it. Here you need to take this moment to push top wave and then be ready on the next mid wave. Amumu is a Yordle, guys. Amumu is a Yordle. But this is a moment, right? Noah's posturing forward, and he's using his spells, you know? He's fucking participating in the fight, and even though his position is not ideal, he makes it work, you know? Super good. I like it. And now the rest of the game is just FNATIC montage. Eventually they end, and you know, for me, guys, in the whole FNATIC and G2 debate, I think that it's, you know, the key thing for FNATIC, ladies and gentlemen, the key thing for FNATIC, right, is the fact that they're a very strong team. They're definitely top 2. We all agree that G2 and FNATIC is top 2. The main reason I think G2 is better is because they've just shown a lot more. And of course, FNATIC are in the position where they couldn't have shown a lot more because they only played 6 games. G2 has shown a lot more, and I think they have a lot more proof to say that they are better. And, you know, FNATIC only got to play 6 games. And that's it. It's like they just got to play 6 games. They haven't shown more, and maybe they couldn't show more. But currently, with what has been shown so far, I think G2 is the stronger team. G2 is a stronger team. I think G2 is a stronger team. I know that people are talking about G2, like the G2 versus FNATIC draft. And while I think for sure that FNATIC's draft is weaker, I think that a lot of the things that G2 showed in this game, in the early game, showed that they are better. They were better in bot lane, they were also better on the Drake. And then eventually they got outscaled and Malphite was completely useless, but a lot of the concepts are just as important even in a bad draft. The draft made the game a lot more decisive later and they had very little tools to come back in the game, but FNATIC couldn't you know, play so well. Wasn't last G2 games bad? I don't think that they played particularly bad against Astralis today. Sure, the game against SK wasn't a great game, but I'm not going to throw away my opinion of G2 based over this. I think in the end, G2... I think still, G2 in winter was the strongest team. I think even G2 in spring was the strongest team. I think that Mad Lions just had very good momentum and very good meta read, and that pushed them through the series against G2. But currently, the body of work of G2 makes me favor them. But that doesn't mean that with more information about FNATIC that I can't change my mind. I think sometimes people are a little bit too married to their opinions, and also sometimes they jump to too easy conclusions off of U1s. But yeah, don't get me wrong, FNATIC's draft was definitely poor. And like on 13-11, I don't think Lucian is strong. But let's not jump to too big of conclusions in BO1s, because keep in mind, for example, Vitality was really insane in BO1s in winter and spring. But what did they do in BO3s? Not the greatest. Okay, we missed some gold stars. Any gold stars? I think, honestly, for FNATIC, Bo? No, I'm kidding. He doesn't need me to shit on him into the whole world is. I think you can distribute them partially to everybody. I think the fact that they have a top laner that's willing to be poppy like this is really fucking good. I think that they have a mid laner that can actually play Ahri is really good. It's like, why is Ahri not being picked? It's like Ahri has been picked so little in the LEC that I forget that Ahri exists in the LEC. It's crazy to me. And like the mid lane meta in LEC is like, we're in a world where in the past Europe was so heralded for their mid laners and top laners were so poor, but now we're in a situation where mid laners can't fucking play shit. At least Caps is performing and Humanoids is performing, and I think that's a big part of what makes FNATIC and FNATIC and G2 so good. They have by far the best two mid laners. I don't think anyone comes close. I don't think anyone comes close. And the same thing can be said for the bot laners. Maybe Larson? No. Larson has zero instinct. Zero killer instinct. He lanes fine, but after that, he fucking doesn't have the gusto to win games. Nuke, are you watching the games? He was a passenger on BDS's run last split. Larson is very shy. I think Humanoid is a much better laner than Caps. It's like, for me, Humanoid is what Chovy is to Faker. Humanoid and Caps is like Chovy and Faker. Alright. All in all, guys, I think that's it for the rundown. We're going to have the usual business, as per usual, with the tier list and the rundown. Humanoid had so many bad splits. I don't think Crimbo96 understands the analogy I'm trying to make. I'm trying to compare them as players. He just doesn't get it. But that's okay, not everyone needs to get it. The regulars on my stream get it. The simple way of explaining my point is that Humanoid is the best laning player, the best laner in the league, I would say. And Caps has a lot more of an instinct in terms of finding game-winning moments, game-winning plays, and finding efficiency through others. Was Humanoid smurfing with the Asian mid laners World scrims? We didn't scrim much during Worlds. Yeah, Niski is decent, but I wouldn't put Niski on the same level as these two when they are in form. I think Niski, what he has over these two is the fact that he is really fucking solid. And Caps this year has had really low lows. Really, really low lows. Can you predict who is going to Worlds? 3 or 4 teams? I think Mad, FNATIC, and G2 will go to Worlds. Niski isn't serious, man. He's losing and laughing in cams. That has to be bait, right? That has to be bait. That's a good bait, if that's bait. That has to be bait, right? That's good bait. Oh, he did the peace smiley. Is it bait? Or are you a esport maniacos viewer? Bait. There we go. It's bait. In my channel we have the biggest baiters. You almost fell? Nah. Yeah. Out of the fourth European team versus NA. Who would be fourth NA? Team Heretics versus like Team Liquid. Maybe the NA jet lag is going to be the problem here. The shitty part is our 4th seed has to travel to America to play a BO5. Honestly, the top 4 teams of NALCS are not that bad. They're not that bad. I have to say, like, the level of LEC has been downright terrible. Right up there with the LCS. I'm not gonna lie. It's like League of Legends. Okay-ish League of Legends. What the fuck am I watching? With the exception of XL. Oh, they played some League of Legends. It's meant to. We have two, but the top end is much better for Europe, I'd say. Vitality was a fly quest. Losers need to retire. But yeah, that's not the question. We mean number 4 seed versus number 4 seed NA, and they have to go to North America to play a BO5. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, I think that's it for my stream today. Thank you so much for watching. I don't know how much I'll stream tomorrow. I'll probably just do a TFT stream and chill and maybe catch up on some LPL. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see what's going on here. Let's check out. Sub today, you chill. We have Billy tomorrow, and Weibo tomorrow, and Beijing JDG tomorrow. Maybe I'll do this series. I'll probably do this series, guys. IG versus Billy. I'll catch you then.